So, hi, my name is Edson Ayllon. I am a Mexican American who grew up in Kennett Square. I went to high school, graduated, went to college, graduated, and currently am working as a software engineer. That's where I make most of my income. I also make part of my income from investing. But today, what I want to talk to you about is college and the importance of college and going from one step to the next, high school, college, and then after. Um, so in 2011, I surveyed a lot of Hispanic parents and asked questions about uh, their values towards their kids in getting an education. One of the questions I asked is, what is your biggest fear when it comes to your child's education? And I got an overwhelming response of parents who were afraid that their child would grow up to be like them. Just a powerful statement. What does it mean? Let's kind of unpack this. So, kind of how I interpreted it as is these parents, they had jobs that were very hard, very physically intensive, emotionally intensive, and they weren't making that much money out of it. So it was hard, and they weren't making enough money out of it. So I guess sometimes they might have to take extra jobs. So they work more hours, work harder those hours, and then not make as much money. So I had to deal with finances and career. So one thing like I've learned after going through college and traveling the world and just kind of experiencing life is that college is actually it's kind of a barrier to get into the middle class. So if you are in the middle class or in the higher class, you probably have some sort of a college education. Obviously, there's exceptions to that. There are startups, entrepreneurs who built a business and dropped out of college. There's people that chose careers that are they don't need a college education, but they do need some certification because they're like on top of having a high school diploma. For the entrepreneurs, I know a lot of it was luck being timing, where they learned something and had an idea, and it was the right time for that idea. They had the resources to build a business. It's not something that's very easy. But getting a job with a college degree, it's kind of more natural. So yeah, it's just one important thing is college is a barrier to the middle class, and kind of what the purpose of college is, if you're going to decide to go to college, is the purpose of college is to build a career. That's the core purpose. Obviously, people go to college to like they enjoy, they make friends, and they have a good time there. But ultimately, if you're going to college, the old end goal is to have that jumpstart your career. Another thing that's important in college is relationships. I met my closest friends in college. It's people I knew before that I went on to go to college with. They are my best friends. The job I have now, I have because a friend of mine recommended me this job, and I got in, and I got to travel the world because of the friends I had. We went to Australia, we went to London, we went to Asia, just because I made the right connections. And so there's that. There's career and connections. That's the important things to focus on in college. Just getting into college, I haven't been in high school for a while, but my siblings have. And my sister recently, she's starting off college for the first time, and um, she got like almost full ride to there. She had multiple colleges to choose from. I think one of the things is that like led to that was this book that I gave her. How to Be a High School Superstar by Cal Newport. I gave it to my sister, and she got almost a full ride to a very expensive private college. And then I gave it to my brother, and he got an invitation from Harvard, but he passed away, so unfortunately he didn't move forward with that. So yeah, so getting into college, there's three things. There is your grades, first of all. Colleges look at your grades, the SAT scores. So if you're preparing to get in college, make sure you take your SATs, but not only take them, you want to make sure you prepare for them. There's a lot of free online resources that you can have, like practice SATs, that it will help you get a better score. So there's a lot of free resources online. Make sure to find them. And if you take your SATs, you can always take them again. It's a test you can retake and improve. But yeah, schools look at your grades, your SATs, and they also look at extracurricular activities. So make sure to get involved and do stuff. That's what I can recommend. So getting into college, one thing to consider is for the career you want. Well, actually, you should probably choose a career, right? So there's three things that you should look at for choosing a career if you're going to college for a career, or if you're deciding whether you should go to college or not. It should be, so the first thing is income. So the career you're choosing, does it make good money starting out, or does it make good money like an average? Like, what's the average income of the career you're choosing? So you want to make sure it pays well. Also, you want to make sure it's compatible with you. So you want to make sure that you're good at it. So if it pays well and then you can be competent at it, you can be good. And then the third thing is, if you have to make sure that it's something you enjoy. Sometimes being good and enjoying it aren't the same thing. So you should probably not hate the career you're choosing. So it pays well, you're good at it, you like doing it. So you can choose your major, or even if, college is a risk in that if you don't have scholarships, you might have to take out loans, and those are loans you have to pay back. So that's already, you like going out of college, you might be in negative net worth because you have more debt than you have assets. So something you might want to consider is there's some careers that you can pay well, but you don't need a college education. Like for real estate, I think you just get a certification, and then you can start selling houses. But something like a doctor, you not only need a college degree, you need to go into medical school. Same with like lawyers, the degree is the minimum. Therapist, you need your master's at minimum. So it depends. Like something like engineering, you can get a good job with just a undergraduate degree. Same with computer science. There's several different industries. One thing is to just look at different industries that are available and find ones that pay well. And so do your research on that. If you choose to go to college, make sure it pays well, especially if you are taking out loans, because you want to make sure you pay them back quickly and that you're able to pay them back, especially if there are a lot of loans. Also, when you're choosing a major, if you're going to college, you decide to, is choose one that is well known, that exists, that's reputable. There can be risk to choosing a major that no one's heard about. Like for example, if some recruiters for companies, if they don't recognize your degree, they might not be interested in recruiting you. So that's like a warning for new majors that your university is starting. And then I think universities let you make your own major. I strongly recommend against that. Use something where you need the list something you don't have to explain to recruiters what your major is ideal. So that's choosing your major. Say you're in college, you have a major you choose, it meets those criteria. You're in college to get a career, so how do you prepare for that? So if you're applying, towards the end of college, when I was applying to companies, one thing I noticed is even after it, when I applied to the current job, one thing that there's big emphasis was experience. So if you're a student, how do you get experience? There's two ways. There's internships and co-ops, and there's also research. Internships and co-ops are more impressive because you're working in the industry. So for internships, I recommend not waiting until your junior year. I say junior year because it's the summer. The summer after your junior year is the summer before your senior year. And at your senior year is when you're applying to companies, because after college is when your career starts. And you want to have experience before that. And if you don't have an internship by your junior year, it's very stressful to apply to internships because you don't know if you're going to get one or not until you get one. So it's good to have internships even before your junior year. So I recommend even trying to get one your freshman year. Because if you have experience, it's easier to get more experience. So once you have your first internship, it's easier to get your second, it's easier to get your third. Because another thing is GPA. So GPA in high school, it matters to get into colleges. Once you're in college, GPA still matters. Obviously, there's the bottom of it, and that's you need a minimum GPA just to be in college. If you're failing all your classes, you could actually get kicked out of the university. I had a friend happened to him, not while I was in school with him, but he came back to visit, became friends with him, and learned that he was kicked out of college because he had bad grades. So that's just bad grades. Obviously, you can fail a class and not be kicked out. It's not like that strict, but there's the other thing to consider is your GPA for companies, because when you graduate, companies will look at your GPA just because you don't have previous real work experience. So they'll look at your GPA as one way to screen you. Obviously, once you have a few jobs, they're not looking at GPA anymore. They're just looking at your past jobs. But for internships, there's some internships actually a lot of internships, as what I was applying for as an engineer, they have a minimum GPA. I remember I was applying, I was talking to recruiters for a few companies, and I had a 2.98, and their minimum GPA was a 3.0. And they said, I'm sorry, you're very close, but our company policy is we don't take interns that are lower than 3.0 GPA. So I was like, it wasn't even 0.1% below. I was like 0.001%, 0.02. I don't remember. It was very, very close. And I couldn't apply to those internships just because of my GPA. So there's that. Also, just like the average of like what companies recruit, at least for engineering, if you had a 3.5, it's pretty safe. It varies by industry, obviously. I think 3.5 is a good goal. Obviously, if you want to be safe, aim for 4.0. But I know like for doctors, I heard that 4.0 is the minimum because this is very competitive to get into med school. Um, so yeah, GPA matters if you're going for graduate school, if you're going and for the career for getting into certain companies. So there's that. Obviously, also friendships. You don't want to be alone in college. One of the things that makes college fun is the friends you make. So also prioritize that. I know I'm talking a lot about career, but also make sure that you enjoy yourself. But career is pretty important. Like it's the core reason why you'll be there. So post graduation. So when you're in high school, you're choosing what college to go to. When you're in college, you're choosing what company to go to. And the company you choose matters, and it matters which company you choose to do an internship with. So how do you choose a good company? My mentor told me look at their finances, because if they're doing poorly financially, they may do layoffs. So your life in that company may be in jeopardy, not because of your own performance, but because of their ability to keep employees. So if you're choosing a company, make sure that you choose one with good finances. A way to do that is to look at their stocks. So if their stocks have been growing consistently and their market cap is large, stock price has been growing, market cap is large, they probably have good finances, because investors look at finances when buying stocks. And if more people are buying, the price is going up, they're growing. So you want to be with a company that's with like good stocks. Usually those companies are well known by other companies. So if you get an internship at one of those companies, it'll be easier to get an internship with another one in the same tier, and it's easier to get a job with one of these companies in the same tier. It doesn't have to be the same company; it just has to be a reputable company, based on which is reflected in their stocks. So the company you intern with, if it's reputable, it'll be very impressive. It'll be easier to get a good job. Also, like if they have good finances, they'll usually have good salaries. So there's that. Also, post graduation, if you've taken out loans, one thing I did is right away is I refinanced. I was with Sallie Mae, had really high interest rates. It was like 11% per year. Which if you have high interest rates, the monthly payment is pretty high. So what I did is refinance that. So refinancing is when you take out another loan to pay your previous loan. The reason you do that is because the new loan has a lower interest rate. I went from 11% to 5.5%. It cut my monthly payment for Sallie Mae in half. So I cut ways with Sallie Mae. I saw the congratulations, you paid off the loans, even though I still have them. And I'm paying less money, and the money that I'm paying less, I could use to pay off my loans faster, or save it, or put into savings. It's like right now, I'm choosing to put into savings until I have a couple months saved up for an emergency. So there's that. Also, another thing is investing. One thing that I've learned is the more money you make, the more it's taxed. So the way income works is you have the income from your company. It's taxed before it gets to you, and then you pay your expenses. And the more money you make, the more it's taxed. So I think that the highest is 50%. So say like I don't know the exact numbers, but say you make $1 million a year, you're only actually taking home $500,000 of that. Which means like the more pay raises and promotions you get, the less and less they'll mean, because the more they're taxed. So there's all this. Your job isn't only like having a job isn't the only way to have income. Obviously, you can invest. So investment income That's at most its highest. It's taxed 15% versus 50%. And that's if you're making money. If those are called capital gains. If you lose money investing, you actually or they're considered capital losses. So you're not taxed, and not only are you not taxed, those losses are reduced from your income, and you pay less taxes on your normal work income. So yeah, I recommend investing even if even before you get a job. Say you have a part-time job. I mean, like a full-time career post-graduation job. Part-time job, like invest put 10% of your income into savings until you have enough to invest. Sometimes you can invest like one stock at a time, or it depends on the thing. So save 10% of your income, put it in towards investing, and learn about investing. Because investing is money that makes more money. It's money that grows on itself without you doing anything. It's passive income, usually. So one thing I recommend is choosing an asset class. There's different types of asset classes. There's obviously stocks, cryptocurrencies, regular currencies like Forex, real estate. Just like look at asset classes and choose an asset class to become an expert in and like start investing. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Also, the point of it is college is a wall. It's like a wall with a door to get into the middle class. The purpose of college is obviously to build a career. And then college is just another step in the process of that. But yeah, that's kind of all I had to say. Pleasure talking to you. I'm glad if you made it all the way through this. I appreciate it. Appreciate getting to talk to you and you getting to listen. But yeah, that'll be it from me.